All right. Hello and welcome to our second LinkedIn audio event brought to you by Sportskeeda Business of Sports and sportscourses.com. Looks like we're making a habit out of this. I'm Arup Soans, and our topic for today is technology and innovation in sponsor activation. We have two fantastic gentlemen with us, Siddharth Raman, Deputy CEO at Sports Interactive, and Samir Pathak, CEO, Global Chess League. Gents, fantastic to have you here. Everybody listening in, we're going to be a quick 30-minute chat. Thank you for taking the time out. And we're going to jump right into it. If you have questions, please drop them in the comments on our events page. And of course, follow the Sportskeeda Business of Sport page for more updates. Like I said, this is episode 2, so we have multiple of these coming up. I'm gonna Siddharth, I'm gonna throw the first question at you, but before I do that, Samir, I don't know if you know this. Siddharth and I actually worked on the FIFA Under 17 World Cup opening campaign back in 2015. It was called India Takes Over, and we did some. I mean, we had an amazing time together and had some fantastic reach. Siddharth, we've come a long way, right, since then, and of course, you've seen amazing innovations and technology at Sports Interactive. Tell us a little bit about that journey and how you've seen things evolve. Over the past eight years. Wow.
Yes, thanks for that, Arup. And yes, it has been a long time, right? And yeah, India Takes Over is still a campaign that's very close to my heart. The fact that we could announce the FIFA Under 17 World Cup coming to India, and I think what we are talking about today is also a pretty interesting evolution of that topic, because when we spoke about that campaign, we said we'll announce it through a very classy tweet, which in those days was digital marketing and technology
Yeah.
speak, right?
Hmm.
And today, when you talk about digital marketing and technology, we've come a long way from there. Like the entire ecosystem, not just in sport, but beyond sport, the landscape has just transformed from where it was. And at Sports Interactive, we've been fortunate to be a part of that journey and play a part in accelerating that journey as well, for rights holders, sponsors, broadcasters, all by making life better for sports fans. So uh, from the days of where digital and technology meant only social media to where social media is now maybe 20-25% of that. There's a lot more that you can do around owned assets, game, AR, VR, a little bit around Web3. So I won't even say every year, but literally every quarter there's something new that's coming up, which keeps this space extremely exciting and keeps us at Sports Interactive going.
No, I mean you're completely right, and every quarter is so apt. I mean, with things moving so fast. Samir, kudos on the Global Chess League. Fantastic
Thank you.
stuff, and I know there's a lot for everybody to look forward to. Uh, Tell us a little bit about, and sticking to our topic, some of the challenges and opportunities that the chess world kind of presents for sponsor activation.
One, thank you for inviting me. Actually, I was going through the list of speakers. I see some old friends in here, Aditi and Sunil Kapoor and Neela Kaushik and a few others. Hello to everyone. Good to see you guys here. Um, what I, in terms of chess, now chess is a very interesting game or a sport, however you want to term it. Is one of the very few ones which is what you play in real life. The online version is the same. Unlike football, like online football or FIFA, FIFA is not the same as actually playing football, or cricket is not the same as playing cricket online. Chess has that advantage that it moves seamlessly between digital and physical. Now, the other side of it is like it has not been very fan friendly so far. And I keep saying this to every chess organizer that I meet, and I keep asking them questions. It's largely geared towards taking care of the players. So even when a tournament is going on, the focus is on players and players who want to come and play. So multiple levels of open, invitational, whatever. It's largely so sponsor activation and just fan activation takes a back seat. Now, if you look at that as I look at it as an opportunity that even the basics that is very common for other brands, say as simple as fantasy gaming. Now cricket and football and the whole world is doing a fantasy gaming on multiple sports. It's new to chess. We experimented with a model because to give everybody a context, Global Chess League is a franchise format team based chess event. So you have teams just like you would have teams in basketball or volleyball or kabaddi or cricket. Now, so one of the things that we brought in is what we can do, learn from some of the other sport and bring them in. And two, how can we take the advantage of this opportunity that there is in chess, where physical and digital both actually can have a seamless transition and existence.
No, and I mean that's so key to kind of understand. I mean, at the end of the day, it's I mean, really interesting for for all sports businesses to understand really where they can align with what you just mentioned. I'm going to take this is actually for both of you. We've had the word metaverse throw around, and Siddharth, you also mentioned it right now. It's been an interesting part of the whole tech side of 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 the world. But brands like, say, Gujarat Titans launched their logo in the metaverse. Have Siddharth, maybe starting with you, have you seen any innovative strategies that you have employed from a sponsor perspective there, or anything that brands are planning or doing or thinking about or have done?
Yeah, so I'll break it down into two, right? One is what's happening in India, and the second is what's happening globally. The most recent one in India is like you said, the Gujarat Titans launch in the launch of the logo in the metaverse, and the way I think that was done was keeping the fans in mind, where I think a limited number of fans could actually be exclusively a part of that event in the metaverse, along with three iconic GT cricketers over there. So to Sameer's point of virtual and physical worlds merging, this was an opportunity for people, no matter which part of the world they were in, to get closer to their favorite cricketers virtually, right? And that's what GT did. I think there have been a couple of good examples in the in tennis globally, and the Australian Open tied up with Roblox, where they actually recreated the entire Rod Laver arena and the entire Australian Open setup in Roblox itself. So a fan sitting in any part of the world could create his or her own avatar and actually in zones within the Australian Open as the tournament happened. And I thought that's a great way to again, look at a fan need that is not that needs to be served, and see how technology can help enable that, right? And then the moment you're doing that, it automatically becomes an avenue for sponsors to come in. It could be existing sponsors increasing their investments, or new sponsors who are very specific, relevant to that particular category come in. And I think we'll be seeing more of that in the next 2 to 3 years for sure, when it comes to the metaverse. Though I would like to also caveat it with the fact that just doing, quote unquote, doing something in the metaverse is not going to help. It needs to be done the right way. You need to be solving a genuine fan need for it to be successful.
No, that's really interesting. The fan need is what kind of hit home for me. But Sameer, yeah, you were going to say, you want to add something.
Yeah, we've actually experimented with metaverse this time around. We had a little bit less time, but we had in terms of we did some very basic things. Once we put up our live stream inside the metaverse, and it was a mega hit. We had live audiences up to the tune of
Wow.
15 to 20,000 live viewers at a given point of time in the metaverse, which is actually a very big number. So our team was, and we are a tech company. Tech Mahindra is a tech company at heart. We build metaverses for the world of sport, especially around the world, and to see one being built for us and the kind of traction we receive by doing one basic thing is putting it on live, offering fans to engage with each other, uh, went a long way. What Siddharth did mention, and I second that, you need to be solving for a specific fan need. In case of chess, again, there is an opportunity for fans to come and play chess. Now, it's a simple black and white board with 32 pieces and 64 squares. But when you put it in the metaverse, you can actually create it on a beach side, and you can have the avatar of Magnus Carlsen or an avatar of Vishy Anand play against you. And while say Siddharth plays a match against an avatar of Vishy Anand, I can again play another match with the same avatar of Vishy Anand, because the chess as a game can actually be coded in a way which actually reads or can read a player's moves, and you are actually playing against what maybe a real Vishy Anand would play. So there is an opportunity to give fans the experience of getting them to play. And for each sport, there will be an opportunity. I believe that I've seen a few metaverses from some of the biggest football to some of the other team, IPL team metaverses. I believe we are just at the ground floor, or we are just getting started. The use cases currently don't leave a lot for the imagination. I think there's huge amount of opportunity, and like I Siddharth said, what is that one fan that need that we can tap into? I think each sport can offer it differently, and actually have a use case that builds audiences, that gives that experience, and build and offer something fans that they would get in an ideal or a real world, so to speak.
No, I mean that's an interesting one. Just moving little bit deeper into the fan engagement side, and in this world that we live in, right, where we see players being able to interact with fans directly through social. Can you tell us a little bit from a technology as well as an innovation point of view? What's the overlap? How do sponsors integrate with this this way of now communicating with fans with the integration of players? And I think you guys maybe have done that from the chess side, but Siddharth, I'm sure you have some use cases or some success stories to tell us about as well.
Yeah. So I probably give two examples to you, right? Not necessarily player linked, but how a fan need was spotted, and a very bespoke solution created for it. And these are from two sports you probably would not associate with sponsor innovation, which is one is kabaddi and the other is participatory sports marathons, right? So I'll give you the kabaddi example first, which is what we did with the Pro Kabaddi League 3 or 4 years ago. Now, kabaddi as a sport is fun to watch, but I think it also requires some education about some of the nuances of the rules, right? And which is your a do or die raid or a bonus point and so on. And at the same time, how do you make that match viewing experience engaging for a fan? Because when someone's watching it, especially on television screen they're referring to, right? It is essentially the phone in their hand where they are reading comments on Twitter, following something on social media. So what we want to do to make the fan experience better, right? Make it much more enriching for fans is we said that you can't take any standard gamification or second screen experience that works for football or cricket and try and put that into kabaddi, right? Because a kabaddi fan is different from a cricket or football fan. So we actually took a very common concept of housey, which is bingo, housey, how it's
Interesting.
known by different names,
Yeah.
and we created a KBD housey, right, which is a bingo game for kabaddi, where on the PKL mobile app before a match starts, before every half, once you sign in, you get a housey ticket. Now that housey ticket actually has 7 to 9 different events on it, instead of numbers, and those events are linked to what's going on in the match, right? So, for example, if it's a Tamil Talaivas versus Jaipur Pink Panthers game, there'll be a Jaipur Pink Panthers do or die point, Tamil Talaivas bonus point. If there are any specific players playing like a 3-pointer or a Pardeep Narwal 3-pointer, which it's linked to what's going on in the match. So you need to be watching what's going on. And the moment an event takes place in the game, and you have that event on your card, you need to tap on it within 30 seconds, right? And then that tile unlocks for you. And then your standard housey rules of top row, middle row, bottom row, jaldi five, and full house apply, right? And this was sponsored by Vivo. Every day, fans who won
Interesting.
full house were actually getting Vivo phones. And the other interesting part is if someone tapped an event when it didn't happen, the tile would actually flip and tell them what that event means, right? So you're also driving education about the sport. And I think that the reason I give this example for kabaddi is for something like kabaddi, this particular activation drove 35 million gaming minutes, which
Wow.
is unbelievable for a non-cricket sport, right? So much so that we were getting a lot more marketing and fan insights on the back of this game, saying which teams are driving more traction, when do we see more people playing the game, based on where the PKL caravan is, and that
Amazing.
we thought was something that is genuinely delivering value to a sponsor on the back, right? And how do we just do more stuff like this? It's that sweet spot between the sport, between the fan need for that sport, and what technology can do to help solve for that, right? So that's one example. The second one is, like I said, for marathons, right? And participatory sport is something that is very difficult. You're the fan is the participant, right? So how do you connect with participants in a meaningful enough way? For the Tata Mumbai Marathon a couple of years ago, Franklin Templeton was a sponsor, and Franklin Templeton's in the business of mutual funds, right? So they wanted to. The reason they came on board as a sponsor is they saw a lot of parallels between investing in mutual funds and running in marathons, right? Where it's all about being in it for the long run. There will be ups and downs, but the power of compounding takes you through over a long-term period, and that's where you see all the benefits coming in, right? So what we delivered for Franklin Templeton was the ability to deliver a customized video for every runner who finished his or her race, layered with messaging around mutual fund investing linked to running. So let me give you an example. So if a runner was running for the first time and was below the 80, they got a message, they got a personalized video with their stats at the Tata Mumbai Marathon, but layered with the messaging around, it's always great to start early, right? In the journey of life, and in the
Nice.
journey of investing. If you're running for the first time and if you were above the age of 35 or 40, you would get a message saying that it's never too late to start, right? It's about taking that first step, and it's never too late to start. Or if you were running for the second or third time and you did better than your previous performance, you would get you would get a message about these are the benefits of persistence and the power of compounding, right? The more you're at it, the better you get. And
Yeah.
if you unfortunately don't do better than your previous run, you get a message like ups and downs are a part of life and investing both, but you need to keep at it because it all pays off in the long run, right? So we were actually able to deliver close to about 30,000 personalized videos for runners who finish these races, all with Franklin Templeton branding, messaging, customized to the type of run they had done, and all delivered within 48 hours of the race being completed, right? So,
Wow.
and for a brand, the ability to deliver that was way more meaningful enough, and their logo present at various parts, or being a part of other standard activations, which I think are still good to have. But this really, like I said, that sweet spot between brand, fan need, and technology solution.
No, amazing stuff. Samir, you want to add from the chess side anything that you guys want to highlight? Anything that you guys did specifically?
No, I would like to speak. I wear another hat in my company, which is the Fan Next, which is a sports fan engagement platform. It's
Right.
actually built to help leagues and teams and other sporting bodies actually engage with fans. And the way to look at it for me, and I'm taking it slightly above than just an example of what we have done, is it helps you run your entire digital piece together in one window, in one view. And once you start getting, one of the most difficult things for any business, forget sport, is to generate customer loyalty. But that comes inbuilt in a sports business. Sports survives on fan loyalty.
Yep.
So how do you take that fan loyalty, understand the fan better? How do you then read the fan better using AI, using other technology? And then how do you serve the fan better right from how many games does what tickets do they buy, what month do they buy more tickets in, is there an occasion that they celebrate, maybe friends getting together always all the time, when they come in, do they drive in or do they park or do they use metro? You can combine all of that along with other experiences of what they buy, create a persona, and then actually go ahead and serve the fan customized messages on behalf of branding. So it gives you the profile or persona like it gives, maybe on other larger social media handles. That's the ability that now you have with technology to understand and
Mm-hmm.
and dissect and bisect a fan base in terms of fans persona, and then leverage it on behalf of your various sponsors. So if you have a car sponsor and they have a particular fan in mind, or a fan persona in mind, you can target them with specific offerings on behalf of that brand, compared to maybe a financial company like a Franklin Templeton. Maybe you are looking at a certain different age profile of maybe those who go to hospitality more often or buy hospitality and things like that. So that's the ability now. Now, for season 2 of Global Chess League, we have planned some things really interesting for grassroots fans to be part of, where we will have competitions of fan versus fans, which will then feed into the overall GCL. So without giving away too much, that's the kind of architecture that we're building on technology, because I think that fan engagement, the more you, if the more data and the more understanding you have a fan, the much better you can have your partners address those fan needs and actually come and offer them a partnership, rather than just bombarding them with sponsor messages, which may not mean, and they may turn off a lot of fans. So I think the age is there now that you start looking at this from a very, very nuanced lens and address each fan, or maybe each cohort of a fan distinctly.
No, it's so important, for brands to really zero in on smaller buckets of fans where they can target specific products that they have or services, and no, and it's really important to know absolutely who your customer is.
Just adding to, this
Yeah.
sportscourses.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the IPL teams that we worked with and we engaged it in the past, the backend was being managed by this Fan Next, where which team, which cohort gets what kind of courses recommended was basis the fan profile and fan persona. So, as simple as sports courses, those can be marketed in a more sharply targeted way, than rather just bombarding everybody with the same.
You pitching for sponsorship, it looks like, but
True.
but no, it's and it's, you're completely right. It's so important to understand that for brands to be able to target specifically. Samir, I'm gonna. I mean, this is a question for both of you, but I can start with you first. I mean, what's the future like? I mean, you mentioned AI a bit. What do you see? I mean, there's so many advances technologically. Where do you see this going? And maybe you can throw in maybe examples that you guys have done at the chess league that other leagues could either replicate, or examples you've seen globally that you guys have maybe used or planning to use going forward.
Sure. See, again, wearing my hat of sports tech, I'm going to give you a slightly broader response, which will cover a whole lot of leagues and what
Sure
we are
thing.
doing around the world. See, now the age is coming for multiple screens, and how do all these screens together give fan the experience? People now go to watch live sporting experiences and have their phones with them, and then they can get far more nuanced data, far more granular data of what they want to see, including um, even before going to, as simple as booking a ticket, can you actually see the view from the ticket that from the seat that you are booking? Right now you just get, like, even if you book a cricket World Cup ticket, if you're lucky enough, you get a 3D map of a stadium and you pick. Or even when you go to a
Mm-hmm.
movie theater, you just pick, okay, these last 2 rows, I want these 2 tickets. Now imagine a metaverse sort of a scenario where you actually pick the 2 tickets that you're looking at, and you actually get to view, okay, this is the kind of view I will get from point. If I get a ticket from here, this is how the distance will be. This is how big the players will look. All of that can easily now be replicated. It's not rocket science. Beginning from there, one, two, this is pre-game experience where mobile helps you. During the stadium, when you are inside the stadium, the mobile phone can give you experiences and data and competitions running during the game that can help you engage more with the sport. And if you're not so lucky enough to be inside the stadium, you're watching the match from home. Again, having a phone as a second screen and engaging with it during a live broadcast on television or OTT or wherever you're getting your fix for the sport, again, the second screen experience can add. These are the places that we are working on with Global Chess League, on how, when you're sitting at home, how can you engage with the second screen while you're watching the broadcast, to what experiences can we give you once you come in at the venue, and what do we do? It's not exactly a seating arrangement, it's slightly distinct. And third, overall, in terms of when you're there, what experiences and how you can engage with players and others, how can you actually impact what's going on, or maybe get more customized experience on the ground. So technology is the common feature in all these three, and that is what we are looking at building.
No, and sponsors, that's exactly where they want to be, in the second screen, where fans and viewers can take action immediately while the sport is in play. No, amazing stuff. Siddharth, Samir, you wanted to say something? No, go ahead. Siddharth, you can feel free to add.
Sure, I thought Samir was saying something. No, look, I think Samir, covered a lot as to how technology is going to change, will always change the fan experience. I think the fundamental always remains, keeping the fan at the center. What is it that you can do to make their experience better? Second screen is one, even on the first screen, right? And this is maybe a more India-specific phenomenon where a lot of consumption happens on the mobile phone itself, and which is where you see innovations like the hype mode that you saw on Geo Cinema for the IPL, or when
Yeah,
Hotstar did the first watch and play for IPL and World Cup back in 2019. It's how do you make the most non-intrusive fan experience, make it seamless, and that's to get sponsors integrated as well, right? A sponsor activation cannot be seen as something that is disjointed from the fan experience. If it is
correct.
a integral part of the fan experience, is when it is the most impactful, and when it is also it's doing the right sold of the sponsor and the fan. That's a filter we'll always apply at Sports Interactive to see what kind of sponsor activation makes sense for a particular sponsor based on the sport and the kind of tech solution available. I think these three being constant, the way the manifestations come to life, we'll see constantly changing. 3 years ago, if you asked me about metaverse or where we would be, I don't think any of us even knew what the metaverse was then, right? So I don't believe in crystal ball gazing to say what will happen 3 years down the line, because I genuinely don't know. But I know that as long as these three fundamentals are in place, we should be able to find the right solve.
No, completely agree. For all our listeners, feel free to throw questions in on the event page. We'll either take them offline post this, or we'll try and answer them in the next few minutes. But gentlemen, fantastic having you. Any closing thoughts for all our listeners in here, for what to look out for, from this perspective, from the sponsorship as well as technology side? Anything that comes to mind straight off the bat?
I think Siddharth made a point which I personally hold very dear: is fan at the center of everything. I think a lot of people end up doing a lot of, I don't know how to call it, very thin stuff in name of sponsor activation. Technology now offers the opportunity to actually marry what the brand wants to do and can do. I think the more you expand your own personal scope of understanding technology, the more you will see the opportunity exists. Soon, I think in next few years, gone will be the days when just having your logo will be enough in most of the sporting events. I think brands will look forward to a deeper engagement led by data, where you can actually, and wherever possible, actually just show business ROI. We are moving in that direction sooner than later, and I think technology will be that enabler. So the more people can understand and appreciate technology, I think the more they will be able to connect brands back to the sporting IPs that they are working on.
No, amazing. Thanks, Siddharth. Before you give closing thoughts, we have Naren who has a question. Feel free to ask, Naren.
Yeah, hi. My question is to Samir. When we talked about metaverse coming up, and I like the concept you're talking about, the images you can think in while you're playing the chess in a virtual world. And my question here is, when the technology will reach all sports, which are right now in a physical league, how do you see the growth of the global chess league? So how do you again fight the technology versus technology among all these sports? So that is a question for you.
Good. Thanks, Naren, for the question. I haven't thought that far yet. Once the technology reaches, right now, all I can tell you is that according to a FIDE study, about 600 million people in the world have experienced or played chess or have no chess or know, at least know the basic rules of chess. I don't think we have even scratched the surface of what we can do for these fans, because most of them are not serious players, they are casual players. I think as the technology evolves, we have within our arsenal, we've not laid them out clearly on what all we can do for different, right from what we can do with AR, VR to what we can do on projection sports. There is so much that is possible. One of the most interesting opportunity in chess, the way I began, was how it seamlessly moves between digital and physical. Happy to share with you that there are phygital chess sets already available. So, in a sense, if I have a physical special chess set and you are playing on your app, when you make a chess move on your app, actually a real chess piece moves the in front of me on a chessboard, like I'm literally playing against a ghost. There is that is already available. So I think as we further, and being a tech company, we have the advantage of being able to see a little bit more in the future than some of the other companies that are engaged in this. We are quite confident that right now our strategy remains that we will get the basics right, from fantasy gaming to fan engagement before, during, and after, and then building these kind of small experiences like AR, VR, and then as this whole space evolves, we will evolve, and we'll try to continue to remain ahead of the curve. And because it befits us as a tech company that we remain ahead of the curve. But if I think we'll see what happens in the future. But for now, I think over the next 2 to 3 years, and I can't go beyond that. I can't think beyond that. But I think we are in good space, and we'll continue to watch what we can learn and what we can learn from other sport. And maybe if people want to learn from our sport, I'm happy to share. Does that help answer your question, Naren?
Yeah, thanks. Because I handle shooting sport, so I have the same problem because I always compare chess and shooting sport. Both are mind sports, and both are difficult to have a fan base. So that's the reason I was looking for something similar.
So one thing, Naren, I'll tell you, and maybe Arup, allow me to just one of the
No, sure thing.
looking back at Global Chess League, and they didn't think of it like that, but actually when it ended, one of the interesting thing that came out was the entire team. Most of them were actually not good chess players, because usually what happens in a chess tournament, there is always a tournament for organizers running on the sidelines. Okay, so once the tournament begins, the organizers themselves are playing chess within themselves. Here we couldn't do a chess tournament because most of them had not played chess like even
Right.
reasonably.
Right.
So maybe it helps sometimes to think, because the kind of innovations that we brought in chess were more as a fan of sport than a fan of chess. And sometimes it may, just because you did call out about shooting and how people prevents, maybe it might be just a tip to actually look at outside the game of shooting and see what you can learn. I know for sure that darts has a huge fan base, and I've watched darts on YouTube, and it gets millions of views. If
Yeah.
darts can get millions of views, I'm sure there are things to learn. We learned from poker, by the way.
True.
Chess,
Okay.
we learned from poker a lot on what we can get from there.
Amazing.
Siddharth, closing thoughts, please.
Uh, well, it's with technology. It's always day one when it comes to fan engagement, sponsorship. So it's an exciting space to be in. I don't think we've scratched the surface while Samir spoke about just the FIDE study and chess. I think in terms of technology in sponsorship and fan engagement, there's still a lot more to be done, a lot more that can be done, and definitely a very exciting space. While I don't know what the next 2 to 3 years will be like, I can what I'm sure of is it's very exciting, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Gentlemen, this was awesome. I myself have taken a bunch of notes, and there's a lot of takeaways. I hope everybody else enjoyed the 30 minutes. And like I mentioned right in the beginning, this is episode 2. We stay tuned. Same time next week, we're doing episode 3. So this was absolutely fantastic, Siddharth, Samir. Uh, I know we will have more and more of these, and from a technology point of view, there's always more to talk about, and you guys are right in the thick of things. So kudos, thank you for the time, thank you to all our listeners, and see you on the other side.
Thank you. Nice catching up with you, Siddharth.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Arup,
thanks
for the
everyone.
invitation, and thanks, Vedant, for
Likewise, Samir.
inviting me.
Thanks, Arup.
Talk to you guys soon, and thank you everyone for listening in. Sunil, you can type the question in my inbox, and I'll respond to you.
Amazing, amazing. And for all of those listeners who are still in, we still have 50 people in. Feel free to follow Sportskeeda Business of Sport for all the updates and all our future events. This LinkedIn audio event was brought to you by Sportskeeda Business of Sport and sportscourses.com. Thank you so much and have a wonderful, wonderful evening and weekend ahead. Enjoy.